Welcome to Tuesday Treadmill Talks number 40. Only it's Wednesday. And there's no treadmill. That's because it's ungodly hot outside. And my gym is even hotter, so I'm not going to be there. Plus, I think I pulled a hamstring. Doing some CrossFit. So we'll get into fitness stuff right now. I do CrossFit a couple times a week. And I really enjoy it. I do it on the day, 2 of those 3 days I do it when I don't work. Because I don't work Mondays and Wednesdays right now. Getting into that whole thing, I now work both weekends. So I work Saturdays and Sundays going forth through just the month of July. It's a 6-hour shift on Sundays, but I need it. In theory, I can cut $1,000 off of my credit card, my MasterCard. So I'm going to do it. Because, yeah, I'm a little sick of being in credit card debt. Oh, I'm really sick of it. Next paycheck, I will pay off my Guitar Center card, and I won't have to worry about that for a while. I'm glad I have it. In case I need some audio equipment stuff, I can buy it at Guitar Center, usually. Camera update. My parents said, you know what? Why don't we help you out with your camera for your birthday? And I'm like, well, you don't have to. I'll just save and buy it in July. Buy it as soon as I can. And they said, well, we'll just do it in July and you just won't get any other gifts. And I'm like, okay, I'm 23. I don't really want any gifts. I don't know. I'm at this point. Caitlin bought me a whole shitload of stuff last birthday. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. But it's not necessary at all. So they're going to help me buy a camera. I'm looking at a Panasonic G7. I think I talked about this already. But I was at Best Buy today, and the Sony A7, I think there's a 4K model. That looks cool too. The downside to that one is the monitor on it does not flip out, so I wouldn't be able to look at myself filming. That kind of sucks, but it's smaller than the Panasonic. Well, they're about the same size. It's thinner. And, of course, the Sony, now they have the A9s out, which is $5,000. They make these attachments so you can use Canon lenses on them. And Canon has the most lenses. I'm not a big fan of Canon because my experiences with Canon have been kind of weird. The last one being my parents' camcorder that I used to film I don't think I filmed any videos for this channel on it, but my JMA videos, I used to film on that because it was high definition. It was 720p. And that was fucking awesome at the time. The color balance is weird on it, and it doesn't really work. So you have a higher red, and I don't fucking like that. It looks weird, and not in a good way. So dealing with that. Dealing with trying to rebuild a gaming PC is a pain in the ass too. I went to Best Buy to look at case fans and graphics cards. They had no graphics cards. There's 3 fucking places in that store for graphics cards. I'm not kidding. They're all spread out. You got they have a VR section that had no graphics cards. I went to their standard computer section, and then the highest end graphics card they had was a GTX 750. I have a 650 in the one I have now, so there's no fucking point in having something like that. Why would I do that? No, seriously, why? Why would I even bother? When the 1080 is becoming the standard, I'm not going to get a 750. So I looked at case fans. Oh, also, they have their gaming section, which is mostly console gaming stuff, but on the far wall, they have keyboards and mice and stuff. Razer products. Corsair has their stuff, and so does Logitech. And I'm there, and I'm like, no graphics cards at all. There's just an empty set of shelves. It was just ridiculous. I'm like, okay, no looking at graphics cards today. So I looked at fans, and they had a very small selection of fans. They had no Coolmaster fans whatsoever. Because I was also looking at CPU fans. They had none of that, period. I mean, they had their liquid cooling stuff, but I don't really want liquid cooling. It's expensive, and why do that when fans are readily available? So, I don't know. I don't get the whole liquid cooling thing. I was into it for when it finally became affordable. But looking at fans, I don't need it. I already have some good case fans in this, so I just want 2 more case fans. Just some upper cooling. Because I have 1 in the back and 2 in the front in this case. And I think I'm just going to leave it that way and just put another 2 in. The problem with that is that it doesn't cool everything down properly, the setup I had. Because I didn't know anything about fans when I made this. So I can't fit another one in the back. It's not going to happen, not with this case. It's just not going to fit in there with the power supply and the graphics card where they're going to be. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'm just going to put 2 on top. But then I couldn't remember what size I want on top. If I wanted a 140 or a 120. I was initially going to go with 120s, but then looking on inspection, they were a lot smaller than I thought. So I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be some 140s. But they're $30 a pop. And they were white LED. I'm not even sure I want LED fans. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, if I had an unlimited budget, everything would be multicolored in there. Everything would light up. And it looked like HAL from 2001 Space Odyssey. But that's not going to happen. I'm on a budget. So I saw this, and I couldn't pass it up, which is some lights, case lights. Because I don't have any lights in there whatsoever. I think I have one. The power supply has a light on it or something. Something has a light on it. And it's just one green dot. And the thing with the case is the side panel is like glass. So you can look in. Well, it's plastic technically. But you can look in at your stuff. Well, you can look at blackness because there's no, and then one green light. So I want to have lights up in that. These are multicolored. It's Corsair. I like Corsair. I like their stuff. So I'm excited to have some of these in my computer. It's going to be a bitch putting them in, but it will get put in dead last. So basically, all I have left is half the computer components. I need new graphics card, new CPU, a CPU cooler, and basically the expensive stuff, and 2 case fans. That's all I need. Because I got my motherboard, I've got a power supply, I have RAM. I have 16 gigs of RAM, to be exact, which is more than enough for most of the games I play. I play a lot of older games. I'm planning on rectifying that, and I'm going to buy less console new games and more on PC, more on Steam. Which leads me to my next topic, which is the games that got announced at E3, the ones I'm interested in. Battlefront 2, of course. I am going to actually buy it on PS4 again. And because I think some of my friends are going to buy it too, and we're just going to all play together, it's going to be easier. The PC may not even be built by the time that Battlefront 2 comes out. Because I'm on such a weird budget sort of thing. Uncharted Lost Legacy looks interesting. I'll probably pre-order that as well. I've decided I'm not going to pre-order things from GameStop anymore after my Battlefront 2 thing, because Best Buy has better deals on that. Not much better, but it's better enough for me to just like say fuck it. And I don't need to be pre-ordering stuff on Amazon on top of all the Amazon buying that I've officially stopped doing. That's pretty much it. There wasn't a whole lot I was into at E3. Assassin's Creed, whatever the fuck update, the Egypt update is what I'll call it. That actually didn't look terrible, but it's just fucking Assassin's Creed. It's the same fucking game since 2. It's like they didn't even bother to fix the bugs that were wrong in 2. It's the same game over and over again. I think the last time they fixed something in an Assassin's Creed game was Black Flag, where you could actually control the pirate ship. Because 3, it was ungodly clunky and was not fun. I remember 3, there was all sorts of bonus missions with the ship, and I said, fuck that shit. I'm not doing it. So, yeah, it made the end of the game difficult, of course. But it was so shitty. I mean, oh my god, it was bad. It was really, really fucking bad. Other than that, we'll get into content briefly. Backpedalers, I hope you enjoyed the first episode. I promise they get more entertaining after the intro part 2, which will come out, I don't know, probably next week. It's an hour or so that I have to edit. And I don't really have time right now to do that. There's a lot of... That's the main thing I'm working on. Decided that Star Wars The Legends podcast will get a soft reboot and renumbering. And what I mean by this is that it will get a new number 1 that will be mainly podcast audio. And it will have rotating hosts, which was the original idea of Legends. It's just Dylan didn't have a life at the time, and I didn't have a life. So our schedules usually worked out, so we did 20 episodes together. But Dylan was supposed to be a temp host. And Dylan's busy right now. His schedule and my schedule, all jokes aside, it doesn't work out most of the time. So, with, life, being in almost a year now relationship with someone, moving her out of her house into a new place, all the stress of that, school and work, it's hard to do Legends podcasts. Backpillars works because Dylan and I, the other Dylan, and I go to school together, and so we'll be get done in class at the same time, and you're like, okay, let's go to your house and do a Backpillars podcast. So we do a Backpillars podcast. I just have to work out some bugs with Skype recorder, with Adobe Audition, and then we can start doing Legends podcasts again. I have a few in mind. Not too many in mind, though. I've been more focused on Backpedalers than I am on anything else. Video-wise, I'll get into that. Don't want to do any can rants, because can rants involve fucking having this on a tripod. I don't have an adapter for this. I don't want to buy a phone adapter for my tripod. I don't. So there's not going to be any can rants. Disk case problems involve editing, so I can't do that because the charge port on this is broken. I can't sync it up to anything. I end up charging this wirelessly, which is why I still have this phone. So I'm going to do single take novel reviews because I have such a backlog of stuff to review. At least I can get half of it done before I get my new camera. I was looking at a Polaroid cube, but I don't really want to sync up audio from my audio podcast setup. I don't. The podcasts automatically go to iTunes, not iTunes. They haven't done that yet. That's something I'm still waiting on. But they automatically upload to YouTube. I have it set up to do that. They're on Spreaker right now. And I have to get a certain amount out before I can even attempt to put them on iTunes or something like that. So, yeah. Other than that, the reviews coming out. The first one will be Battlefront Twilight Company. Because Inferno Squad comes out in about less than a month. It's looking like Del Rey, though, won't be doing sending out review copies of the Inferno Squad book, which is a little irritating. I was hoping to read that ahead of time. Geeksat and I were just talking about this. They may very well still do it, but they've been a little weird with that sort of thing. So hopefully the Disney's young adult company still will do free copies of stuff. Which reminds me, I lost my copy of Guardians of the Wills they gave me. I have no idea where it went. I'm a little irritated because I was, in all honesty, a few weeks ago, I would have had it done by now and a review out to you. It's such a quick read, and I can't find it. So I've been reading 000 instead, which I'm getting close to the end of that. As well as reading some Tomb Raider comics. I bought the hardcover of the first Tomb Raider stuff, the Top Cow stuff. I've been reading that. Been reading Aliens comics. I've been reading a lot of comics. Mainly I've been catching up on stuff stuff that I wouldn't review necessarily. There was a Highlander comic. I think it was a miniseries that just ended that I enjoyed. Until the end, it was a little predictable. I've been reading Eternal Empire, which is a Luna Brothers product. What else? I've been catching up on Star Wars comics. I'm still a few issues behind. I'm not in the Citadel event yet because I'm reading some Dr. Aphra first, her series. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's actually somewhat readable. Poe Dameron I'm behind on by a lot. There's a new Droids comic. I haven't read that. I'm one issue behind in Darth Maul's mini, which is kind of sucky. It's a lot more disappointing than I thought it was going to be. The new Vader story, I caught up on that. It's okay. Purge did it a lot better. I will say that. Purge was a lot better series of one-shots than this ongoing is so far. Sorry, that's my stomach. I haven't eaten lunch today. I started Rat Queens. Yeah. A lot of you have recommended Rat Queens to me. A lot of my friends love Rat Queens. I bought the entire original comic series on Comixology, as well as they rebooted it with a new #1. So I've read the first couple issues. I'm really enjoying it. I find it very hilarious. What else? Reading Aliens Dead Orbit. I read the first issue. I wasn't a big fan of it. The second one's downloaded on my tablet. Just haven't read it yet. Predator Hunters is another one. This one is very weird. It's a sequel to the old Predator comics. Like one of the storylines. It's a pseudo-sequel to that. But I've never read a Predator comic. It's weird. I've read a lot of Aliens comics, and I've read almost all of the Alien vs. Predator comics that have ever come out. But I have never read a Predator comic. I plan on, in the next couple paychecks, maybe picking up. They released a hardcover of the original Predator comic. Similar to the Aliens ones they've been doing. I might pick that up. I finished the Prometheus Life and Death event. It was really good. A very good sequel. And brought up it brought up some interesting things I'll save for my reviews of them. But that won't happen for a while. They were really good. Really good. I was shocked. Because it was very... Fire and Stone, I thought, was just lightning in a bottle. But the Life and Death event, it was probably because they released them properly, and it was easier to follow than Fire and Stone was when it came out in singles. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. Oh my gosh. I read a James Bond comic that was fucking bizarre that I'll probably give a bad review for because it was very hard to follow. It's just a lot. I read a ton. I read Old Man Logan. I don't know if I'll review that or not, but I really enjoyed Old Man Logan. That was a few months ago. I don't think I've even talked about what I've read in months. Started Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, which is a Star Wars young adult novel from the new canon. It's pretty good. For what it is, it's a lot better than it should be. Finished Rebel Rising, you all know that because the review came out. I started the Bounty Hunter Wars, I'm getting into Road to Crucible stuff again. As you know, I finished Mara Jade by the Emperor's Hand, but I can't review that, which is a very good comic series. Yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing. I finally got a Revan figure. I'm very happy. I got a Revan figure. I know when they're announcing Jaina's coming out at Celebration, I finally got a fucking Revan figure. So yeah. Anyway, have a nice day, people.